If you are on your trauma healing journey and you're looking for different ways to support that journey, this is a video for you. My name is Rachel. I am a somatic therapist and coach. In this video, we're going to go into a brief 101 of how trauma gets stuck in the body so you can understand the ways it might be showing up in your system, and then in turn what you can do about it, how somatic yoga can be a practice that can support your healing journey, and understand how using this practice can help you to feel better. So if you stick around till the end, we will do a short little practice that is supportive in helping to build your window of tolerance and release any stuck tension and trauma in your system. So I hope you'll stick around to the end for that. So to understand why somatic yoga and body-based practices are helpful in healing trauma, you need to understand what happens when you experience trauma to get things stuck in your system. So in terms of what's happening when you experience trauma is that you have a window of tolerance. So all that means is there is a level of emotion, stress, tension that your system can experience, that you're able to stay present with it. But if it exceeds that window, if you are in a situation that is overwhelming, that is threatening to your safety, to your well-being, and you're out of that window of tolerance, your ability to handle it, you will go into a place where you start to disconnect the parts of your experience. So that means maybe there's physical sensations that are no longer connected to an emotion. Or there is emotions that are not necessarily connected to a thought. So all of these things of the experience that when it gets outside of that window of tolerance start to break apart and they stick in our system. Because when you're in the window of tolerance, you're able to have an experience, there's a level of activation, and then you're able to come back down. So it's just this natural activation, and then we're able to come back to homeostasis. In trauma, you go up, but then you are not able to come down. So those pieces of that experience get stuck in your system. And that can look like many different things. Sometimes you might experience a moment where you just get this flooding of emotion that seems like it has nothing to do with the situation you're in. Or it could be that you have a tension in your body, in your jaw, you develop an autoimmune condition, you develop some type of physical health condition that is really impacted by stress. Because if there's things in our system that are unprocessed, if that's emotions, if there is a physical tension in our system, that is all causing stress in our system that then might lead to other issues down the line. If you don't process, if you don't have the tools to really go into the body where the body is holding some of this tension and stress. So when you're kind of working to heal this, it's not just that we stretch a little and then things release. Sometimes that might help. Sometimes you can get a massage and that will help to release the tension. But there's also these holding patterns we have in our body. So ways that our body protects itself from what we're experiencing inside. So you probably have some place in your body where you hold a lot of attention. A whole lot of tension, not attention. Maybe it pulls your attention, but sometimes this might be your tension in your shoulders, or your jaws are always clenched, or your hips are really tight. There's these places that our body just holds these tensions. So at a very basic level, when you have an emotion or a stressful experience, your body responds. So when you're scared, your body might tense up. if you're shamed or ashamed, your body collapses in. And this is usually outside your conscious awareness, but your body is responding to the world all the time. And so when there's trauma, pain, harm that happens, your body's responding to that. And then your body just naturally goes into these shapes that were protective at one time outside of your conscious awareness. So part of when we're thinking about releasing or repatterning our body is understanding our holding patterns and then working to shift them physically. But also the important piece here is the emotional piece, because you can open up your body, but if you haven't done the emotional processing, your body's going to go back to these same holding patterns. So this is where the somatic awareness piece comes in. That is really important, because the emotional piece is going to be what you hold in your system. It's much harder to access if you're not connected to the body. So, just a brief little recap. We have our nervous system. If we go above that capacity, things get stuck in our system. In emotions, in holding patterns, in ways of thinking, or even ruminating, which is actually just a way to not feel the body or what's happening inside. So your system gets trained to operate in this particular way. And it will keep operating in that way until you start to create a different pattern, a different experience for yourself. So as we jump into why somatic yoga is a helpful tool for you on your healing journey from trauma, I just want to do a little disclaimer that yoga is more than what most people understand yoga to be. Yoga is not just these physical movements with the body. Yoga is a whole science of self-realization, from ways of living life to these deeper meditative, subtle practices. And some of the tools that yoga gives us are so important to help us to really integrate ourselves. Yoga is about union and integration, as well as trauma healing. Trauma healing is about integrating these parts of ourselves that we've lost, that we're disconnected from, and bringing everything together. Mind, body, spirit, and all of the parts of you integrating into a cohesive sense of self. So we're not going to go into all of that today, but just to give an understanding that yoga is more than these practices that we're going to try today. Yoga is something that helps you to go much deeper into yourself, and it's done over time. So at a basic level, the practices that yoga provides help to expand the window of tolerance. Yoga gives tools that help you to be able to decrease the activation in your nervous system. And when you're doing it regularly, you're creating more and more space for the current stressors. You're able to handle current stress more. And as you expand this window of tolerance, you allow in those experiences that you weren't able to feel, that you didn't have capacity to feel in moments of trauma and extreme stress in the past. So as you're expanding your window of tolerance, you're creating more space for all of the experiences of life. And when you create space for all of the experiences, they're able to process. So like I was saying before, when we're able to stay in our window of tolerance, we can come up, we process, we come down, but trauma, we get stuck. So as you expand this window of tolerance, you can get those things unstuck that were stuck before. And then when we're talking about somatic yoga, and I will say yoga is yoga. There are all different types and names that have been put to it, but yoga at its core is yoga. When we're talking about somatic, we're really talking about the somatic awareness piece of practice, which is about bringing awareness to the body, to the breath, to your whole experience as you're doing these practices, as you're living life. So this is a really integral piece of being able to feel what hasn't been felt. And the more you practice, the more you build that muscle of somatic awareness, the more you're going to be able to feel and process. And with that, the practice also pushes us into places that are uncomfortable, where we're building tension in the body, we're engaging friction in the body, and then we're learning to practice and stay with that without reacting, without pulling away, without pushing into it. You are learning to be with discomfort. And this is a very essential skill in order for you to heal trauma. Because as we start to create more space for the experiences that you weren't able to feel before, you also need the capacity and the ability to be present with those experiences without going into a panic mode, without going outside of your window of tolerance. So the practices may seem simple, but you're doing a lot of things all at once. You are really shifting the nervous system to a more parasympathetic, which is just a fancy way to say the part of our nervous system that helps us to relax and unwind, shifting to a more parasympathetic state. You're also reconnecting your mind and your body, your cognitive mind to your sensing body, to your physical sensations, to your felt sense, which then helps you to process your experiences in a different way, feel what you haven't felt before because you were disconnected from it. And as you feel it to the full capacity, you allow it to come back, then it leaves your system. So we're working in this way to release stuck energy in your system. Trauma is often someone else or another experience putting energy in your system. Their anger, their shame. They're projecting it onto you, and trauma is often when you hold those experiences of other people in your system. So trauma healing is about releasing that stuck energy from your system, and yoga provides so many tools to help shift your energy. I often talk about it as energy hygiene. So I'm going to lead you through a really simple practice, and you might be like, this is so simple. I don't believe this is going to shift trauma, release trauma from my system. But the more I have practiced yoga in my own life and the more I've seen other people use it in theirs, it is really the simplest practices that make the biggest difference. All right, so this practice, we're going to be doing a little bit of movement with our breath, with our awareness. So you can do it standing, you could do it seated. Lying down might be a little tricky, but if you are really feeling lying down, go for it. And so we're just going to start by finding a long spine. So either pushing your seat or your feet into the ground or the chair, feeling your spine long, lengthening. And then before you move, just notice you could have your eyes closed, you could have a soft focus. Just notice what's present as sensations in your body. Noticing the pattern of breath. Noticing the quality of your mind. And then you're welcome to keep your eyes closed if that helps to stay focused as you're moving, or you could open your eyes up. And to start, you're just going to inhale, shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, releasing shoulders down your back. Just moving with your breath. Do this a few more times. And as you're moving with your breath, it helps you to drop a little deeper into your body, to get out of the cognitive mind. Cool. And then you can exhale, releasing shoulders down the back. And we're going to make circles with our shoulders. So inhaling, shoulders up and forward, and then exhale, down and up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Moving with your breath. And then see if you can drop your awareness into the sensations of this experience. Noticing what it feels like to move your shoulders in this way. And then we're going to reverse. So reverse in the opposite direction. Just trying to take a full inhale and exhale for each rotation. And staying focused on the sensation of the experience, building that muscle of awareness. Beautiful. And then you can exhale, releasing shoulders down. And from here, as you exhale, you'll look over your right shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale over the left shoulder. Inhale, center, and then just moving with your own breath. And next time we come center, we're going to think about trying to lengthen our exhale so it's a little bit longer than our inhale. We inhale back to center and slowing the exhale down over the other side. So as we lengthen our exhales, it is a quick way to help turn on that parasympathetic part of our nervous system, the part that helps us to relax, expand the window of tolerance. And we'll do one more on each side. We'll inhale back to center. Just take a moment to pause. Notice what might have shifted. And then this time we're going to inhale, bringing the chin up towards the ceiling. And again, really slowing down the exhale. Bringing the chin towards the chest. So maybe inhaling for a count of 3 or 4. And then exhale, trying to double the count. Cool. Then after your next round, just come back to center. Taking a moment to pause. We'll do one final movement here. So inhale, lengthening through your neck. Exhale again with an extended exhale, right ear to right shoulder. Inhale for a count of 3 or 4, and exhale, doubling that count as you drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. And finding a flow that works for you. You don't want to be struggling with the breath. You want it to feel like you're extending the breath, but you're not forcing the breath. And then you can finish up the next round, coming back to center. Just take a moment. You can either have your eyes closed or just a soft gaze. And notice what shifted from the beginning of practice. It's happening in your physical body, with your breath, quality of mind. And then you can open your eyes if they were closed. I hope that practice was supportive. I know it's pretty simple, but I hope you noticed a little bit of a shift from the beginning to the end. I would love to hear what your experience was. And please share, like, subscribe. It's really one of my favorite things in life when I know that people share these practices because they benefit from them. So please share, spread the word of somatics and the power of somatics. And I hope to see you again soon.